Hi guys, it's Thursday, May 13th, May 14th, May 14th. A few more days until the AP exam. For those of you who have taken exams this week, I hope it's been going well. I hope you haven't had any trouble uploading documents. Any feedback though, please email me. I've heard from a couple people that have said, you probably shouldn't handwrite things and take pictures. That kind of is cumbersome and takes a while. And then make sure to upload right away when you see your screen kind of go red. They said it's really better to upload in the first few minutes than waiting until the last part, because if you don't submit anything or if you're late with submission, you have to, it won't accept it. So today I'm going to quickly run through Unit 11. That was the first unit, if you remember when we started our online stuff in this quarantine, that was the first unit we went over. So I'm just going to quickly recap it. This unit would probably be the second FRQ. So anything with analyzing research methods, that kind of stuff, I would think that a lot of this would be in that FRQ. I'm going to put an FRQ up for tonight. It's not any homework for me. It's just if you want some extra review. Friday, I'm going to leave open to do a Google chat for you guys, just to ask like last minute questions. And I'm going to do that during our scheduled time of class. I think I might just poll you guys in Schoology and see what works better for you guys. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to Unit 11. So this is the testing and individual testing, so intellectual testing. So the big thing here is you have to know the intelligence theories and theorists. So there's three main ones that you could be tested on. Remember, G factor is Spearman, and that's like you have this one general intelligence. Multiple is with Gardner, and he had those 9 different types of intelligences. And then the triarctic theory, that is with Sternberg, and those are the 3 different types of intelligence. So we'll go through those a little bit better. So the components of the general intelligence, it's just that G factor. It had all of these characteristics with it. So like working memory, fluid reasoning, knowledge, quantitative reasoning, but he just described that as one single factor. That was the G factor. You had this general intelligence, and that had all of those in it. Where Gardner's multiple intelligence, he had all of these different types of intelligence in there. So musical, visual, spatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal, verbal, logic, all of those, they went in your multiple intelligences. And that was Gardner's nine multiple intelligences approach. And then you have triarchic theory of intelligence. And this is, you could be analytical, you could be practical, you could be creative, you could be all 3. And that's really how Sternberg described intelligence. You could be analytical, practical, and creative, or you could be creative, practical, analytical. You had some sort of combination of all 3 of those. Okay, and then just with analytic, it's just those mental steps or components to solve problems. Creative intelligence is that use of experience to kind of like foster different ways to problem solve. And then the practical intelligence is that ability to read and adapt to the context of everyday life. Okay, so those are the big 3. So Spearman is the G factor, multiple intelligence is Howard Gardner, and then the triarchic theory, I hope I'm saying that right, that's Sternberg, and that's the 3, okay? The other thing I think that's important from this unit is the IQ test creators and theorists there as well. So remember Alfred Binet, he was kind of like the first guy from France that kind of felt like, there needed to be something to help education. So he kind of created that mental age, like what that looks like. And then he kind of, Louis Terman took that a little further, and he created that Stanford Binet IQ test. And that was where you had the mental age, the chronological age, and that was times 100. And then that was that IQ, that intellectual quotient. And then Wechsler kind of modernized it, and he came up with the WISC and the WACE. So the adult intelligence test and then the children's intelligence test. And that was, that kind of included this like performance and like this verbal component to it. Okay. And then we had Cattell, who created fluid versus crystallized intelligence. And just keep in mind that fluid intelligence is that ability to handle like new information and solve problems with that new information. And as we age, this tends to decrease as we get older. Okay, so fluid, it's just our ability like for new information, but it decreases as we get older. Okay, where crystallized, kind of think rock hardens. The crystallized intelligence, that's more like wisdom, hard facts, and that increases as we age, as long as nothing's going on with the brain or we're dealing with Alzheimer's. Okay. Just another one of that. So fluid intelligence, like global capacity to reason, ability to learn new things, think abstractly, solve problems. Crystallize is the prior learning and past experience, and it's based on facts. And again, this is going to increase with age, where fluid would decrease with age. The Flynn effect, you guys watched that TED Talk with James Flynn, and this was basically that IQ scores, they increase from one generation to the next. So basically he theorized that as time goes by, people are getting more intelligent. So it's as measured by the intelligence test. And it's, because of our environment, so like higher quality schools, healthcare, those kinds of things, that's why, that's what he theorized, that it gets higher with generations. And then this is really what I feel like could be tested on the FRQ, basically knowing about the intelligence test. And we know from the research methods unit that things have to be standardized, they have to be reliable, they have to be valid. So just making sure you understand the differences between all of those. So remember, with standardization of testing, that's going to establish the norms and then the basis for meaningful comparison. Okay, so they're going to test this group and then they're going to norm it. And then people that continue to take the test, they're going to have they're going to know what the normal score is for it. Kind of like with the IQ test, even though that's 100 has always been the, the average for an IQ test. And even though James Flynn said it increases with every generation, it still remains 100 remains that score. And so that's because of standardization, right? You've established the norms and then it's the basis for meaningful comparison. Okay. And then the reliable, they're the same results over time. So if I create this great experiment and then you do the same experiment, you're going to get the same results too. So we know that that's then a reliable test. And then valid doesn't measure what it's supposed to measure, right? Like, am I taking, if I go onto the scale and want to know my weight, right? The scale is going to tell me the weight. It's not going to tell me my height. So, is it measuring what it's supposed to measure? Okay. So those three things all have to, if you're going to do any testing, those things have to be done. And then definitely have this picture in front of you when you're taking the FRQ, because I have to assume they're going to have some sort of normal curve graph on there. And you just have to remember that, that middle score, the median or the mean, right? You're going to have that and the standard deviations after that. So I think the big thing with that is just knowing that normal curve, the average is like 100, and then the 15 is the standard deviation. And then knowing that 34 and 34, there's like 68% that could fall between one standard deviation. Okay. Also know that when we're talking about intelligence, anything 130 and higher is gifted. Disabled is anything 70 or below with that. And I kind of feel like that sums up the unit 11. So I can't believe I got through this in less than 10 minutes. So I'm going to leave you with an FRQ today. You don't have to do it to turn in. I know you guys, I think lit might be tomorrow, or I forget what's tomorrow, but nothing to turn in, just some extra practice for you. Friday, I'm going to have an optional review where you can come on and we can, talk about questions and troubleshooting. And that's it. Okay. Hope you guys are all doing well. Please, please be studying. Study that cram packet. Watch crash courses. Go back into my Schoology. Do the Kahoots for each unit. I mean, really know the content of the psychology material. Okay. And email if you have questions. Okay. See you soon.